All right, guys. Well, good morning. Welcome to Element Online. We are still trying to figure this whole thing out. We have stepped up our game a little bit with professionalism. We have Brendan fully set up in my dining room, and we are trying to figure this thing out. It is a little bit different. It's a little bit weird. Deandre is definitely scared. But I want to say about a couple things before we jump into Hot Wings with Deandre. First of all, we have a print five flyer. It is in the links below. You can get it. Here's what the deal is. We want to encourage you to be a missionary in your community. Help people where you can help. Now, listen, if you're totally self-isolating or it's just not wise for you to go out, we don't want you to be confused about that. We want you to stay at home and be safe. But if you're somebody who can go out, run to the grocery store, drop something in the mail for a neighbor or for a friend, or maybe just have a phone conversation and pray with somebody, we want to encourage you to print out this flyer and drop it on 5 doors around your neighborhood where you could just be a minister. It's going to give them a chance to give you your name, your phone number, and be able to help out in your community. Check that out in the links below. The second thing I want to tell you about is our Thursday small group. So we have a small group each and every week online on Zoom. We record it for people who have missed it. Whenever I remember to hit the record button, right, Lavelle? But we record it. We have fun with that. We just get together, talk about what's going on in our week, and connect with one another. We're kicking off something cool this week. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll try it at least for 1 week. We're going to send out a recipe of the week. And it's because I love to cook for people, but unfortunately, with COVID-19, I can't be doing that right now. So we just want you to have the recipe. If you want to join us, you can make the same thing we're making. We'll have some fun doing it. And then we'll do small group together Thursday at 7 o'clock. And then the last thing I want to tell you is this. Easter is this coming week, and I am pumped. We are trying to figure it out. It's going to look different than it ever has before because we've never done an online service. But we can't wait. We want you to be a part of it. So make sure that you tune in, get ready. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be full of hope because right now, no matter how you feel about any of this stuff, life is different, and we need hope. So make sure that you're tuned in for that. Now, with that said, we're going to jump into Hot Wings with Deandre. So Deandre, if you don't know him, he's a friend of mine. He goes to Element. He is in college, working a bunch of jobs, trying to figure out a lot of things in life. And how old are you?
24.
24. I did guess it right. He's 24, and he kind of got voluntold that he was doing this week. I had a conversation with him. He called to check on Kim, said, hey, how's Kim and the baby? I see stuff on social. And I went, great. Is that all you called about? He's like, yeah. I was like, sweet. Did you see Hot Wings yesterday? And he went, no, but I know what it is. And I was like, great. You want to do it this week? And he's like, I guess. And I was like, sweet. I'll see you on Saturday. So he's here recording. He's scared about the amount of sauces. He didn't know it was going to step up our game. He didn't know that I literally was going to douse all the wings in sauce, but that's already happened, and so we're going to have fun. But before we jump into that, I just want to read you the passage that we're going to be talking about. So we're in the middle of the book of John. It's a biography of Jesus, and in John chapter 4, we're going to pick up where we left off last week. It says that this is a woman at the well that Jesus asked for a cup of water. It says the woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, you're a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan. Why are you asking me for a drink? And Jesus replied, if you only knew the gift God has for you and who you're speaking to, you'd ask me, and I would give you living water. And she said, but sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket, and this well is really deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? But Jesus replied, anyone who drinks this water will soon be thirsty again. But those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. And she goes, please, sir, give me this water. Then I'll never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here to get water. And he said, well, go get your husband. And she said, I don't have a husband, the woman replied. And then Jesus said, you're right, you don't have a husband, for you've had 5 husbands, and you aren't even married to the man that you're living with now. You certainly spoke the truth. And she said, sir, you must be a prophet. So tell me, why is it that Jews insist that Jerusalem's the only place of worship, while we Samaritans claim it's here on the Mount Gerizim, where our ancestors worship? And Jesus replied, believe me, dear woman, the time is coming when it will no longer matter whether you worship the Father here on this mountain or in Jerusalem. You Samaritans know very little about the one you worship, while we Jews know all about him. For salvation comes through the Jews. But the time is coming, indeed it's here now, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him in that way, for God is spirit, so those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. And the woman said, I know the Messiah is coming, the one who is called the Christ. And when he comes, he'll explain everything to us. And then Jesus told her this, I am the Messiah. And so over the next half hour or so, Deandre and I are going to go through what we are calling the Pepper Pyramid Challenge of hot wings. I ordered this box online. If you want to join us, maybe next week for Easter, maybe the following week, all you have to do is go on Amazon. You can order the Pepper Pyramid Challenge. It goes from 300 on banana peppers that we're getting ready to start with, all the way up to 2.1 million. That's going to be an optional last dab for Deandre. And so we're going to have some fun with that, but you feel free to join us, and we'll get it started. So Deandre, wing number 1.
All right.
So it's a banana pepper. All of our sauces are up here on the table. That's 300 on the Scoville scale. And here's my first question. So the story opens with Jesus asking for help with a simple task, just getting some water, right? Because he didn't have what he needed. He wasn't equipped to do what he wanted. So when's the last time you had to ask for help with maybe something that was a simple task?
I think the last time I had to ask for help was probably... Well, that was so simple, I think.
Or maybe just when's the last time you had to ask for help?
I mean, there was a time where I think someone literally... This is going to sound really, really stupid. But I actually had someone the other day ask me how to do the Pythagorean theorem. And... Who even uses that?
Like a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
No. Is that Pythagorean theorem? I don't think that's it.
What's the Pythagorean theorem? We're getting the nod.
Oh,
what did you tell them?
Dude, I know. They were like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't know either. They're like, how did you get into school but you can't do so? I'm like, that's...
How are you going to college?
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Pythagorean theorem is from geometry. A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
I took that in like 9th grade.
It's how to find the hypotenuse of a right triangle. Good job.
You should be a math teacher, you know?
I love math. I love geometry. It was my favorite math class.
Yeah.
All right, we're just going to
That wasn't too bad, actually. That was actually really
it's simple.
Yeah.
See? We start off light. The real stuff doesn't get hotter anytime soon. This one looks naked, but it's Frank's Red Hot. It's what we cook the wings in. It's supposed to have a 450 on the Scoville scale, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Why do you keep taking the drums, dude?
I don't know. It's a white person thing.
I taste nothing. Like, I taste nothing.
Well, that's simple. You can you can add this one to it.
5 wings later, I won't be saying that.
Yeah, exactly. So Jesus and the woman get in this conversation. They spend some time comparing religions. Okay. I know you're somebody, just knowing you, I know you're somebody who, when you became a follower of Christ, you talk about faith often. And you talk about faith with a lot of different people who believe a lot of different things, all right? So I want you to be thinking kind of in that mindset. But knowing that you're a person who talks about faith with your friends, when's the time when you did a great job discussing faith? And maybe when's the time you blew it? That you just went, I overreacted, or I got too stressed out, or whatever it might be.
I can give you 2 examples, actually. There was one time where I had a friend who actually they didn't understand the Bible, and they, were asking me questions, kind of getting concerned. They were like, if God's real, why do these bad things happen?
Sure.
And at that time, my only response was like, if you look in the Bible, like, it's not just, rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. There's a lot of bad stuff that happens, Is that at the cost of God? I don't always necessarily believe so, but I do believe that he's always there to be a savior and to kind of guide you.
Yeah.
And that was my only response that I could give them. Like, even my life being an example, like, I didn't think that I'd be here today, going through, life, things that I've gone through. Looking back, I don't think I would have ever thought that God would be there, but looking today, And
sure.
How can I put this? I'm a walking example of like what God's done in my life,
Great.
So like that's the only answer I could give them. One time I blew it was when I actually had a friend who just kept coming at me with questions and questions and questions. Yeah. And I had no idea how to necessarily answer them. And it felt like I was being attacked and bombarded. And instead of kind of like, talking it out and kind of like answering their questions as they go along, I kind of just blew up and kind of got frustrated because I felt like I was being doubted with my faith and kind of being belittled. But
sure,
that happens sometimes. You're gonna have people who challenge you. You're not gonna have the answers for it, but you just have to handle it with like a little bit of grace and class and kind of just be understanding.
Yeah, I like it because even in the first one, you didn't have the answers.
Yeah,
you went, I don't know.
Yeah, but
here's what we see. Like, I mean, I taught from stage, I guess, right before we shut down for coronavirus. I was talking about the idea that really when we look at scripture, like, trauma is what we should know as followers of Christ, because that's what everybody experiences throughout Scripture. Like the Bible is very few rainbows and butterflies. I mean, it has a couple, but it's very, very little of that. Most of the time, what we see is that God interacts with his people and people interact with their people in the midst of really, really tough situations. And so I think that's great, just being real. Saying, hey, I don't know exactly what that is, but that was never promised us. So let's have a realistic expectation. I get it. So, all right, next one is a Hatch Valley Anaheim pepper. This one is 1,500 on the Scoville scale. So we went from 300, 450, stepping up a little bit. Which one do you want? I don't want to take the wrong one.
Drum.
All right.
You've been taking drums the whole time.
Yeah, Hatch Valley Anaheim pepper. Francis, that tastes like that nasty green Tabasco sauce from last week.
Really? This is good.
Dude, no. I didn't spit it out. No, that's disgusting.
Really?
It's not too hot. And that's not the issue.
No.
It's just gross.
It's not too hot. It's just...
Hatch Valley Anaheim pepper. All right.
It's kind of weak, honestly.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. This is weak sauce.
Yeah.
That's what we need to remember. So for the lady at the well, the conversation seems to come out of nowhere. And it turns into something really meaningful. And so I was just trying to think, do you have a time when like the last time maybe you had a conversation that seemed random that turned into something meaningful? Like maybe it was from a person you didn't know, or a situation where you just weren't expecting somebody to drop knowledge on you, but it was like all of a sudden somebody was spitting fire and you couldn't write it down quick enough.
Yeah, actually the other day, I was in DC and my friend and I, we had just came back from dropping off, a foreign exchange student who had to go back home. And we went into DC to kind of grab some ice cream, and there's all these rules about, this is when like social distancing was like just brand new. Right? It was kind of like just put onto us. And I'm in Haagen-Dazs and they're like, stay 6 feet away, and like I'm not understanding this rule, and like this guy behind the counter is like yelling at me because he's like, stay away from your friend, and I'm like, dude, it's only like next year, like
So 2 weeks ago.
It was just so 2 weeks ago, and I just didn't understand like this new rule that was being implemented like on society. And my friend turned to me, and I remember just thinking like, I don't have to understand what's going on in society right now, but I have to be respectful,
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, like, how other people feel about how other people may not agree with this rule, or how it may be, inconvenient to some people. But at the end of the day, like, I have to be respectful of other people's needs and other people's health. So if someone's asking me to stay 6 feet away, if they're asking me not to use handlebars, if they're asking me to use, plastic straw, it doesn't matter. Like, I have to be respectful of that, because the times we're in right now, it's like you can't just think selfishly. You gotta, like, guess be understanding. So from that, what I took away was basically like, I don't have to understand, but I have to be respectful.
One of those moments where you didn't expect to like gain knowledge
at all.
You're just grabbing ice cream,
right? Exactly,
and it turns into something meaningful. Because that's what it was for the woman, right? Mm-hmm. She's just going to get some water, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But she's going at an off-peak time to avoid conversation with people. So it's like the last thing she thought she was going to get was something meaningful and useful, besides something to drink. Yeah. Right? And so, that's great. All right, so this next one is called a green serrano pepper. Steps it all the way up to 17,000. I think it's this
Serrano
one. Serrano pepper. Yeah, it's one of those little green peppers. Mm-hmm. It's not a problem, man.
I don't think it should be an issue.
This is an easy one. All right, they're both wings this time, so we have no option about what to take. Just
kind of douse that.
I don't want people to get tired of you complaining about drumsticks.
Okay, yeah.
I guess you like that when you pull the bones out.
I did like that one.
That's not even hot.
I know.
Like the last one wasn't hot, but while you were talking, the last one got a little bit hotter. That doesn't even taste hot.
I feel like this one's doing that. Like, I feel my tongue kind of tingling at the moment.
That's lame. It's fine.
You picked them, so.
Who knows? I ordered this thing on Amazon because it was simple. I got tired of running around looking for hot sauces. All the stores everybody sent me to get hot sauce are like in the mall and closed right now. Yeah. So. Beef jerky outlet, Arundel Mills. I know it's a place I can get it, but they're not open. All right, so Jesus has this conversation with a woman, really trying to avoid conversation. And this has been debated by some people, but the reality is she goes to the well at an off-peak time to avoid contact with people. And some people would say it's because she has a past and things that she doesn't want to have to deal with. She doesn't want to deal with the gossip. She doesn't want to deal with the conversation. So she just says, screw it, everybody else is going in the morning, I'll go in the midday. I know it's hotter, I know it's a little less convenient, but it gets me away from the people who annoy me, right? And I don't know what she wanted to think, or I don't know if she just wanted time to think, or maybe just avoid some conversation, but I know there's been times in my life where I've tried to just get away, like kind of like quiet the crowd, and I'll pursue silence for a little bit. It's not long that I'll do that, but in the moments where I want to get away from everybody, I really kind of need that silence. So here's my question, like, she gets interrupted in the midst of her silence. So when was the last time, or maybe when was the time you can think of that you go, somebody just would not stop interrupting my pursuit of silence? Like, I was trying to get into a different headspace, and people would not leave me alone.
This week, honestly. So right now, I'm not at home, but I'm quarantined with like a couple other friends, and it's about like 5 or 6 of us in one house, you know. But like, you know, there's times where like I'll be kind of like in my room, in the guest room, I guess, kind of just hanging out and kind of just being to myself, and then I'm like, I hear noise downstairs, or like one of my friends might come in and ask me a question, like, do you want food? Do you want to do this? You know, or like, do you want to play a video game? And I'm like, dude, I just want like 20 minutes to this book or to this like song or just, you know. But then I'm realizing like, wait, I'm in a house with like 5, 6 other people.
Sure.
I'm never gonna get that, you know. Well, and if I do, it'll be like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, like random time. But yeah, I'm going through that right now.
Yeah, totally good. I think a lot of us are going through that. I mean, I hear people who, like, even just your family being home.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just staying with people and nobody being able to leave the house. People with kids.
I mean, yeah, they don't think like kids, you know?
It's like they don't stop. Like, normally I get rid of Noah for a couple days a week to go to school. Like, I can't do that right now. So it's just kind of constant noise, constant situation, constant thing going on. All right, we're going into some red sauces. We only have one more lightly covered sauce, but it's supposed to be pretty hot when we get there.
Okay.
All right. This is red cayenne pepper. It's got a 30,000 rating on the Scoville scale, so it's twice as high as the last one.
How did you go from that? Like, how did you just go from A to Z?
I don't know. The last one is like 1.4 million. We'll be fine. But it jumps up. All right. Well, these are both drumsticks, just so everybody has the running count there. All right. I like that.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's like a good wing sauce.
Yeah.
All right, so in the conversation between Jesus and the woman, in my opinion, it seems like they're talking about 2 totally different things. He's trying to talk to her about like eternal stuff. She's trying to talk about immediate water, right? And it's as if he says A and she hears B. And I was just thinking, like, there's been a lot of times in my life where I feel like I'm having those conversations. Not always with women, but at times I feel like men and women can speak different languages.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you were in a conversation with anybody, you just felt like we were talking 2 totally different languages? You were trying to communicate one thing, they were hearing another. They're trying to communicate one thing, you're hearing another.
This week, actually, yeah. So this week I called a friend and I'd asked him if, you know, his baby had arrived, and he said no. And then next thing I know, I end up here at this table, and I'm doing a hot wings challenge, and I don't know how I got here.
It was a good conversation.
I'm like, I asked to do this?
Similar to the woman in Jesus, Deandre took steps to move closer to Christ this week, simply because somebody wasn't listening to him and asked the questions they wanted to ask. It's fun. But this hasn't been bad.
No, it hasn't, honestly.
Look, we're 5 sauces in.
No, actually, I was excited to do this. So coming here, I was actually pretty excited. I was kind of, I don't want to say scared, but I was cautious.
Sure. Cautious. Makes sense. Hey, we need some people. So if you're interested in eating some hot wings, if you're willing to eat some hot wings, we'd love to have you. We've got a couple people lined up for the next couple weeks, but we'd love for you to join us. So if you're up for it, let me know. And I'll call it the ladies. I don't have any ladies who are saying, I'm willing to eat some hot wings. So if you are tough and you are a woman and you are willing to go into some spicy ranges, maybe you don't normally explore, we'd love to have you join us. I did try to sell it to my wife when, hey, it'll help the baby get here. Spicy food is supposed to make the difference. All right, so this next wing is red Tabasco pepper, I think. Yeah. Aged red Tabasco pepper. No, that's not it. Yeah, that's it. Aged red Tabasco pepper.
Okay.
Jumps up to 250,000. So now we're actually getting into some hot flavors.
Give that one quick swipe and that's it.
Yeah. Dude, don't be shaking off the sauce. You all right over there?
I'm good.
All right. So, in the story, Jesus points out a hard truth about the woman's past.
Yeah.
Right? She tries to tell him, "Oh, I don't have a husband." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. You've had 5, and the guy you're living with now, isn't even somebody you're married to." Like, that's a bit of a hard truth. Calls her out, but he seems to do it with grace because the woman doesn't run away. She understands she's still accepted. Like, he's not rejecting her. I don't get the impression he's putting his finger in her face. He's just giving her a hard truth with grace.
I feel that in my chest.
And I love good. That's a good thing. She
Yeah.
probably felt in her chest when he said that, like, what the heck am I doing, right?
Not
Who
to
am I
this
talking
extreme, but I'm sure this.
Exactly. So, I want you to think about a time when you got a hard truth, maybe with grace or without. But here's the question: how did you resist arguing with that truth and actually be able to like receive it? Because I know for me, a lot of times when people give me a hard truth, I don't want to hear it and I want to just push back on it. But I do much better in life when I'll like receive the hard truth with some grace. That make sense?
Yeah.
When's the last time you got a hard truth that was tough for you to receive?
Hard truth. I think it was when I took the, what was that class that I think we took it like a couple years ago or like a year ago. We had it. It was a finance class.
Yeah, Financial Peace University.
Yes, Financial Peace University. That was a hard truth. Like, I think realizing that like how, I don't want to say irresponsible, but let's go with irresponsible was at the time.
Yeah.
Like just spending money, not really keeping track of like any bank statements, not really keeping track of like expenses or even having a budget in general.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how dangerous that was to like not only myself but like my future self looking down the road in like 5 to 10 years. I had to really take a step back and kind of check myself and say, what am I spending money on and what are my priorities? You know, like I think a lot of times we want to tell ourselves what our priorities are, but like realistically, we don't really sit down and say, you know, going to Chick-fil-A 4 times a week isn't really a priority. It's just a want and a
Sure.
need, you know?
Yeah.
So having to like really sit myself down and tell myself those truths was like,
Just having to deal with the hard reality
Yeah.
of like, what does my budget say? Not what do I want it to say,
But what
not what I
does
hope
it
it
say?
says. What does
because I
it
mean,
say?
there were times where I literally, I'm not even kidding, I wouldn't even open my own bank statement. I wouldn't even open my own like app because I was so afraid of what my account would say.
Sure.
I can't even look at my bank statements. I probably spent money here, there, you know, not even realizing like how like it's hurting me.
Yeah.
It was a hard truth.
How's that helped you moving forward? Because that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Right? So how's that helped you
Moving forward, I definitely can tell the difference between like a need and a want, and I know my priorities are like a lot more straightened out, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like before I would find any excuse to kind of talk myself into buying something, whereas like now I kind of give myself at least 24 hours, and I kind of give myself like some grace period to kind of say, do I need this? Or is it something that like I'm just saying I want, and then you know a month from now I'm not even thinking about it anymore?
Sure.
You know.
It's great. Yeah, it's one of the things I've been trying to do. Like my tendency, I spend most of my spending budget, like my own spending money. I spend it like in the first 5 days, and so I've just been trying to give myself like a weekly budget for spending instead of a monthly budget for spending. And what I find is that like the things I pause on in week 1 that I would have wasted money on, by week 3 I'm not even thinking about it anymore. It's like, oh, that thing that I needed so badly 2 weeks ago, I haven't thought about for the past 2 weeks, so I'm probably fine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I've learned like once you give yourself some time to kind of think on it, you make a better decision.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so this one says it's 250,000 too. So that one was a little bit hotter than the last one. It's definitely stepped up the game a little bit. This one is a Scotch bonnet pepper. They come out of Jamaica. So Jamaicans eat some hot food. Brendan, who is filming, is cheering in the background. But this is a Scotch bonnet pepper. I think personally it's gonna be hotter than the last.
You
stuff
think
we
so?
did. Which one you want?
It doesn't matter. Let's just go for it.
All right. Make sure there's sauce on it.
No, I'm just dripping it all in sauce.
Come on. See how this is.
Didn't really get enough, so.
Well, if you need more sauce, you go for it. All right, so I'm gonna steal a question from last week.
Oh my god.
The whole story. That's actually a perfect segue to this question. The whole story starts over Jesus just wanting something to drink, right? Eating hot wings can leave you wanting something to drink too. If you could have anything to drink right now, what would it be?
A milkshake.
A milkshake. Actually, I haven't had this yet. You can have it.
I can have your milkshake?
Yeah, it's cookies and cream.
Bet.
Yeah.
It's the highlight of this entire thing. That's
I haven't drank out of it yet, so you can. We're not sharing coronavirus. It's good. I've gone to regular Coke. It's my coronavirus guilty pleasure.
you said the other one
It's
was
wonderful.
spicier than that one?
No, I thought that one was gonna be spicier. That one
It
was the
was.
bill was
It
spicy.
definitely
But
was.
they say they're the same Scoville rating.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so what's your drink of choice outside of hot wings? Like, if you could have any drink, what's your go-to drink?
Oh, Arnold Palmer.
An Arnold Palmer.
Oh my god, like that's perfect on any day. Rainy day, sunny day, hot day, cold day.
The Arnold Palmer is
Arnold
always
Palmer.
the move.
Like,
Got it.
but you have to use unsweet tea, not sweet tea. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
I disagree. It's got to. Well, I use.
Well, I was asked the question, so.
Shut up. All right. All right, next one. Level 8. Let's get hotter. This is the habanero pepper. This one jumps up to 600,000. So last one was
What?
250. We're going over twice
Okay.
that with a habanero. All right.
Okay.
It's got some red sauce. Francis, I just want to make sure you see, because he was on last week. If you missed it, you can go back and check it out. Kind of sets up our story in John 4. He complained that I had too much sauce on the wings. I just want you to know I am properly saucing all of these wings. I'm not totally tossing them in it because I don't want to waste the sauce. We need it for the next few weeks, but there's plenty of sauce on these wings. So this one is 600,000.
600,000.
Yep.
All right.
Look, we only got 3 left, including this
No,
one.
I'm good. Are you good?
I'm fine, man.
You're getting red.
It definitely steps up in heat. Ha! All right. Look at him trying to be a tough guy. This is funny. The difference in single people and married people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. I have nobody to
All
impress.
right.
All right. Just like we want some instant relief. Like the heat is hot. You want something that'll change that. That milkshake will help you. Right? She wants Jesus to relieve her immediate tension. She's like, I want to have to stop coming to this well. Can you make that happen? But Jesus wants to relieve her eternal need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to get rid of her eternal problem. She's trying to get rid of her immediate problem. And under stress, it's really, really easy to be short-sighted and choose instant relief or just instant gratification, even if it's not the best thing for us long term. So here's what I want to know. When's the last time you were under stress, you got short-sighted just because you were frustrated? And what did you wind up giving up because of it?
Can you ask it again?
Yeah. So why can't you pay attention, man? Come on.
I can't. It's on fire, dude.
When's the last time you were short-sighted because you were frustrated and gave up on your long-term goal? Maybe not like permanently, but you did something that got in the way of it. Does that make sense? Like maybe it was financially, you made a bad financial decision because you were short-sighted and under stress instead of thinking long-term. Or maybe it was a relationship or a college goal. I don't know what your long-term stuff is.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I can say I've ever, like, that's kind of cocky to say, but I don't think I've ever really given up on something that, like, I really wanted. Because, like,
Okay.
anything that I really wanted, that's
But
what
what have
usually
you done that
drives
maybe
me.
got in the way of it?
What have I done that's gotten in the way of it?
Yeah, like hey, you have a long-term goal
Oh,
of saving
my
money,
goodness.
but you go, I spent
Are
money on
you
this stupid thing
kidding?
because I was stressed out. Like that's what I'm trying
Spend
to.
food. Like, literally, I spend so much money on food. I remember there was one time I went to my bank statement, I think I spent, it was like $150, and within 2 days on eating out.
There you go.
And like, I'm a single dude who has barely any bills. How am I spending $100+ on anything over 2 days?
Sure.
You
What
know?
was the situation that caused it?
Situation, I guess, going through depression at the time. You know, I had like just kind of like had my grades slip in school. I wasn't really doing so well, and like I just went to this dark, deep place. And I remember like the only thing at that time was like that would make me feel any better was like just spending money on food, like material things,
Sure.
clothes, food.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think we tend to do. Under stress, we get really short-sighted. All right. Next one is ghost pepper. We're going from 600,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not even double. The last one was more than double.
Yeah.
What did you think of that last one?
I feel it.
Yeah. It wasn't crazy.
Like, do
But
you
it's
feel
hot.
a stinging around your lips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's meant to be there. All right. All right. So ghost pepper is $1 million.
All right.
They're both drumsticks, and then we got one more wing left. Just one more.
One more. Thought you would have tapped out.
Oh no.
You can't even take.
All right.
I feel like it's creeping.
That's fine.
You know.
So I'm trying to ask you before it creeps up too much.
I know. Oh my god.
As a person who's waiting to get to many of the places you want to be in life, things like college, career, finances, etc. Like,
Yeah.
as a 24-year-old who knows you have a lot of life ahead of you and a lot of places where you want to be, how do you stay focused on where God's leading you instead of getting distracted by what you see today? You need me to ask it again?
No, I just hit a moment.
Dude, the question's about getting distracted. How do you stay focused on where God's leading you in life, like those big things that you know He's calling you to, instead of getting distracted with what's right in front of you or maybe the tension that you feel? So I'll buy you some time.
Please.
He watched Hot Ones on TV. Oh, by the way, ours isn't called Hot Ones. It's called Hot Wings. I just didn't want to steal their name. But he watched Hot Ones, and apparently Gordon Ramsay says eating a donut is better than drinking milk. You didn't have to take my milkshake if that was what you were going to do. But
Oh my god, it actually works. No, seriously. Like, you see how instantly I just, like, kind of came back at that? Donut.
all right, so then answer my stinking question.
You want donut?
No.
Okay.
I'm a man.
Right.
How do you stay focused on where God is leading you instead of getting distracted by what you see today?
What really keeps me focused is, I think that knowing that through everything I've gone through in the past, God's brought me out of. So I think sometimes it takes really just like reflection.
Sure.
And I mean, that means for anyone that can be meditating, you know, kind of like talking it out. But for me, it's kind of like meditating and praying and then just reflecting on like, okay, like at this age of my life, I've gone through this much and God has brought me this far.
Yeah.
And every time that I've asked Him to take me out of it, you know, it may not have been at that day, that time, that year, but at some point He brought me out of it.
Yeah.
So why would He stop at this point, you know? So it takes a lot of reflection and just looking back in hindsight and saying like, I've gotten through this. Why is this any different?
That's great.
You know?
That's great. I mean, we see that in a lot of worship music today, but we also see it in a lot of like what God instructed the people to do back in like the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Where He says, hey, remember where I was faithful to remind yourself that I will be faithful. Because life is stressful and we get really short-sighted. We see what's ahead of us and we begin to freak out. I thought you were good. I thought one bite of the donut fixed your problem. All right, so we come to the last wing. You love the show Hot Ones. It was how I sold you on getting here today, right? This last one is a scorpion pepper, 1.4 million. So we were just at 1 million. Mm-hmm. This one is 1.4 million. If you want to do the last dab, you're familiar with this idea, but the last dab is a Carolina Reaper at 2.1 million. And so if you want to go with it, I'll do it with you. If you don't, I'll wait until somebody else does it. It is totally your call, but we're going 1.4 million on the scorpion pepper or all the way up to 2.1 with that Carolina Reaper.
2.1.
Let's do it.
Why not?
Let's do it. Are you pouring the sauce or am I pouring the sauce?
I'm pouring it on there.
Deandre, when he came over, thought that he was getting the sauce all of his own wings, and that just has not happened. You good?
I'm good.
All right, let's do it. It's going to be hot.
But you gotta like take a bite out of that piece though.
Oh, yeah, I'm with
Don't bite around it.
Dude, I'm biting. First of all, you're pouring it off, you cheater.
All right, be quiet. Two bites from a man. Oh my god. I mean,
Not the proper way to eat a wing.
it's just
I know, don't
like,
educate me on that.
literally kicking me in the back of the throat right now.
All right. So sometimes in life we have goals, we have dreams that get completely interrupted by the interactions we have with people and the circumstances we run into in life, right? For a lot of people, coronavirus has been a huge disruption, a huge interruption to their day-to-day. So as we close, how are you dealing with it? How's it interrupted maybe your long-term plans of like college and stuff like that? And what short-term stress does it cause? So the first question there is, how are you dealing with coronavirus?
Social distancing, and
Besides this,
yeah, I'm doing a lot of reflection, like, and oh my god, I'm doing a lot of reflection and a lot of I can't answer this. No, I can't.
So you're doing
no,
a lot
I can't
of
answer it
reflection.
now.
Go ahead, man. Go
Yo,
on.
I'm lightheaded. I'm literally lightheaded as we speak.
I'm okay with that. All right, so you're reflecting.
I'm reflecting.
You're social distancing. Has it had any difference on your long-term plans? Like, how's it affecting you?
Oh
going to
my
Arizona
god,
next
yeah,
year, or
dude.
what's
Like,
going
I
on?
don't know how it's gonna affect me going to school next year because I don't know if Arizona's gonna decrease the amount of tuition. I don't know if they're gonna even be in session next fall
Sure.
or if they're gonna just hold off until the spring. I have no clue what's going on, and I think for a lot of us.
Dude, I watch Touching Your Eyes. You do what you want.
Oh my! But
Fortunately, it's the back of your hand. It's already
yeah,
done.
I mean it's already done. So you're like, God. All right. What was the last question?
What short-term stress does it cause? How's it stressing you out like today, this week?
This exact moment is stressing me out.
You probably wouldn't have been on stage eating the hot wings if we were at church tomorrow.
You're right.
You good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Anything else?
I think a lot of times we can use this moment to isolate ourselves and to really use that as an excuse to just be away from people and seclude ourselves. But I think that in this moment right now, what's mainly important is kind of finding some community, even with social distancing. I think even if you can I guess talk to someone on Skype, FaceTime, phone call, finding someone to call and communicate with and just talk to right now is so important because I know a lot of people who struggle with mental health. This is a critical time for them, and someone like me who has, dealt with mental health, I think being around people and finding some sort of community, it's been stressful, but, I think once you find one, it's like a domino effect. You feel a lot better about speaking to other people, being around other people, kind of finding a community to talk to and kind of relate to at this moment.
That's great. It's great.
Yeah,
are you good?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You guys are always welcome to text me. Hit up Deandre on social. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll make sure we tag him in YouTube and Facebook, all that kind of stuff. But the other thing, if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to somebody you know and you just need to talk to somebody, Crisis Text Line is a phone number that you can text. You can check it out. Just Google Crisis Text Line. You can send them a message. They have trained counselors on staff. I heard a podcast this week about some really cool things that they're doing. And I'm actually looking at going through some of the training that they have because it's 30 hours. It's free training. You do it at home, but it's legit. And it helps better prepare us to be able to help the people around us. So if you're maybe somebody who's not stressed, but you want to be there to help, go to crisistextline.com. Check that out. And that link will be below. Have a great week, guys. And we'll see you next Sunday for Easter. That was hot.
That was hot. It's that the last two were killer, but that one was insane.
You dumped it all off.